Hello people of YouTube, my name is Brad, this is my channel Adamant Orange, and this week in 3D metal model news. Starting with Fascinations as usual. We don't have any new coming soon models this week, but we do have a couple of models that have moved from the coming soon to the what's new side of things. As you can kind of see here behind me, we now have the 1935 Duesenberg Model J is now available in the Wild West 440 locomotive. Both of those have just very recently moved over to the what's new side of things. I've already checked. Innovatoys has them in stock and are shipping them out now. So Innovatoys or your favorite purchasing location, if they don't have it already, they should be getting it fairly soon. Moving from Fascinations to Peace Cool, there is nothing new showing up on the Peace Cool website this week. However, the models that I talked about last week, the wedding themed models, the three new ones that they've come up with, are now available for purchase on, I've seen them on crazytoys.co.uk's website, as well as at least one AliExpress store. I believe it was Danny's Toy World has them, and you can find a link to both of those places in the description down below if you're interested in purchasing those three models. I was looking around on Tri-M Specialty Products website, and that is the company that is based in Canada that gets a lot of Metal Earth and other type models into their warehouse and ships them into Canada and other places here in North America. I noticed that they had another Transformers model. They have the MU Tarn Transformers model available on their site now. So I think it was a pre-order before. It's now readily available. Last week I talked about how they had the Optimus Prime, the Last Night model from Micro World. And I also noticed while on their site that they have the Wild West models from Metal Earth. So if you're in Canada and looking to get those particular models, they are now available and will get to you a little bit quicker. And also poking around on Amazon a little bit, back in July, in the July 3D Metal Model News video, I had talked about there being some metal brick models available on Amazon Prime. And it's been a while since I've looked, and I poked around a little bit more today, and it seems as if there may even be a few models that weren't there before, and a couple of models that, well, there's a few things that caught my attention. Them being based in Korea, there are a lot of structures that are Korean-based or Korean structures, like the Seoul Station. I also noticed like a Red Lighthouse, a Vespa Mandarina, aka the Asian Giant Hornet, Turtle Ship, Kangaroo, and it also looks like they still have for sale both the 1/6 size Captain America model for $150 and the metal brick Iron Man for $150. Now these are really large models. They're expensive, but they're very big, very detailed models. Also several videos back, several weeks back, months even, I talked about how there were some like more or less foot tall Iron Man and Captain America models available on AliExpress, and I believe those were knockoffs of the metal brick models, which have been around for a while but weren't always as easily available. Looks like they now have them on Amazon. They may have been there before and I just didn't make a note of it. I have heard so many things about these particular models, about them being discontinued, about them no longer being available, but they do seem to pop up here and there. So whether or not Metal Brick is still making models or this is just old inventory, I don't know, but these models are available on Amazon currently. At least that's what it's claiming. I haven't ordered any myself, but if you order something and it's supposed to be Metal Brick and it's not, usually with Amazon you can fairly easily return it. And that brings us to the question of the week time. In last week's video, the question of the week was, I occasionally get comments on how models are not completely accurate. For instance, the original locomotive, naval ships, and a few other things. I myself have had issues with the Enterprise D. Are there any models that have inaccuracies that bother you? Have you noticed, and is it a big deal? And I got a couple of responses, one of which being from CodeWookie. You hit the nail on the head for my biggest inaccuracy complaint, those darn guns. But the one other inaccuracy that just frustrates me was the Hogwarts Express, which on the sides has the text Hogwarts Express. Note the space between Hog and Warts. I still love the model. I just have to tell my nitpicky side to ignore that one mistake. And you know, I want to say that I've noticed that when I was putting the model together, but it's been a while. But yeah, there's, sometimes there's just little minor inconsistencies, and it's not just Metal Earth. If you look far back, if you look far enough back in this channel, there was a time when I was actually collecting Star Trek starships for the magazine, and I would do videos about that. And even those models, like every other one or every 2 or 3 models, there was some sort of inaccuracy that just wasn't quite right. And it was also a matter of, well, maybe is it an inaccuracy or is it something that changed over time and they just picked one of them? And there's always something. It's hard to get things perfectly, absolutely, positively right, especially if it's something from a movie that maybe they threw away the original sets and had to redo it, and there's a slight change. I'm not saying that's the case for Hogwarts, but there's always something. Walter J. Schuler, great vid, Brad. Answer for this week. Some models that have visible pieces on both sides yet only have detail on one side can be annoying, especially when it is colored. I feel it makes the model look incomplete. And I know what you're saying, especially with older models. A lot of the original Metal Earth models just had engravings kind of on one side, and in some instances maybe the other side was underneath or inside the model. You didn't really notice it, but then there were situations where it was a duplicate part on both sides, and on one side you either had to put the part on backwards to get the engraving to show outward, or you just put it on in such a way the engraving didn't show. And there were some older models that did kind of annoy me. It does seem, for the most part, that Metal Earth has made a lot of improvements in the design of their models. A lot of the newer stuff does have a lot more detail and is more likely to have the detail on both sides. It may not always be the case, but I say overall things have gotten quite a bit better in that respect. But I didn't think about that. That's a good one. When I was making this question, I was thinking more along the lines of things that are just basically modeled incorrectly, or a situation where I think the question that originally spurred this, the comment that originally spurred this, was about a ship model that had existed through several different wars, and during one period it had this particular item on it, but then it was refitted, that item was removed, another one was placed on it, and in the model both items were on there when they didn't exist at the same time on that ship. So I didn't even really think about it just being a matter of one side was engraved when the other wasn't. But yes, that in some models can be very annoying and disappointing too. But I think that great strides have been made in many areas, not just that. But Metal Earth has made a lot of steps forward in their instructions, steps to make it easier to understand their instructions, steps to make it easier to not mix things up. The things like where they now color loop duplicate parts, where they now label sheets as A and B and C so that you can more easily find the part you're looking for without having to search through everything. There's been a lot of things, a lot of improvements on the instructions since the beginning, and there's been some improvements, definite improvements on the engraving, especially now that I've done very recently, and I'm still working on the video for the Western Star logging truck. That thing is loaded with detail. I'm really impressed with that. But anyway, those are the 2 questions for this week. For this week, or excuse me, the 2 answers for the question of last week. For this week's question, I'm going to ask you, is there any particular question that you would like for me to answer? Any particular topic that would you like for me to cover? So I've been doing a lot of questions myself. I'm going to open the door for you to ask me something. Leave your questions in the comments down below, and I will either answer them next week, or if I get a lot, I will use them over the weeks and answer them as time goes on. It is the first video of the month, so I do absolutely want to take a moment to thank my Patreon supporters once again for continuing to support this channel. I want to thank Andrew S., Chris Paskowich, Giovanni Filardo, Hugh Morrison, Kaj Nielsen, Ken Crowan, Kendall Fargo, and Man Hung for supporting this channel. Once again, thank you for your support, for allowing me the funds to continue to buy and build models and keep things going. Such a wonderful Metal Earth community that we have here. Everybody is so helpful. I also want to thank everyone for watching, for commenting and interacting. Thank you for watching, and as always, keep on keeping on.